This is the 10-Minute Teacher Podcast, episode 674, 8 New Productivity Tools and Tips I've Adopted While Working from Home. This is a special podcast from Vicki Davis. Enjoy!
Now is the time to plan your summer PD, and I recommend Advancement Courses series to help you become a better online teacher. Stay tuned at the end of the show to find out how to save 20% on Advancement Courses professional development, plus how to receive PLUs or graduate credit. You know, working at home changes us. I know it certainly changed me, as has the time away from the physical presence of my students and colleagues. So, I've seen some teachers and administrators say they're working less, but for me, I am working so much more. So my method of working has had to change as well. When I was at school, I would always be running around the building and it was a lot more smartphone based. So my productivity tools and tips have definitely changed in this time. And I actually have some new tools and some things I've never talked about here. So I'm going to share with you my pretty new productivity tools and tips I've started using while working at home. Now, on Teacher Appreciation Day, I'm so glad that some of my kids remembered me, and I actually got a few Amazon gift cards. So I actually bought myself an Apple Pencil. Now, I have an older, I think it's 9.7-inch iPad Pro, so it's not one of the newer ones, but I did get the Apple Pencil 1, and I'm going to tell you something. It is a game changer. Now, my friends who are artists and can draw, like Sylvia Duckworth and some of my other friends who do all that sort of thing, Carol McGuire and others, they use it for drawing and for sketchnoting. Well, for me, I'm more of productivity and doing other things. So there's a few apps that really change things for me. First of all, besides the Apple Pencil also makes a great stylus. Now, remember, you need to check which model of Apple Pencil you would get. I have to use the Apple Pencil 1 because I have an older iPad. Some of the newer ones is the Apple Pencil 2, and there are some differences. Remember, the Apple Pencil 2 only comes with one nib, so you'll probably need to buy some other nibs. Also, make sure that you have a good holder with your iPad for your pencils. So I had always wondered what this little loop was on my amazing iPad case that I have for my iPad, and it's actually for an Apple Pencil, so I can just plug it in right there. Some people complain that they lose the top of the Apple Pencil easily, so do realize that, some people recommend that you get the little top holder sort of thing for it. But I love the Apple Pencil. It has totally been worth it for me. And a lot of times I just use it as a stylus, but there are some apps that I love with it, and I'm going to mention those. So number 2 is the Nebo app, and I use that with Apple Pencil. Now, in Nebo, it's probably not one you've heard of, and I've tested Procreate and GoodNotes and all those, and GoodNotes definitely has a place in my app with the Apple Pencil, but Nebo is just crazy awesome in what it does. So it's basically, you can seamlessly move between handwriting and typing and typed writing. So basically, I'll go and write a couple lines with my Apple Pencil. I double tap it and it turns it into text. But then, like if I want to get rid of something, I just scribble over some words and then I can write the new letter and edit it again. So it's literally seamlessly working between text and handwriting. Never seen anything like it, but this is what I think the future of the Apple Pencil is for us mainstream folks and not just the artists. Also, you can open up a diagram box and you can draw a diagram, hit a button, and it will convert it into a diagram for you that you can then pull into PowerPoint. Crazy awesome. The other thing it does, it's going to kind of blow your mind, is you can open up a math box and write math formulas and double tap it. It turns it into the formula. So math teachers, it's going to save you so much time. Now, here's the part some of you are not going to like. If I added up 52,923 plus, 1,264 equals, and then I double tap it, it's actually going to solve the problem for me. It will solve algebra problems and all that sort of thing. So this Nebo app is just really remarkable, incredible and remarkable. And handwriting uses sort of a different part of your brain. So I could just see a million uses for it. But what I think most likely is going to happen, that the features in Nebo are so advanced that they're going to start being built into other things that we use. So I kind of see this as a transitional app that's really going to take us towards the e-paper that we all need and are going to want to use. Because face it, kids are going to have to take home books every day. And I don't think that the paper book is realistic just because of the issues you have with paper books. Are you really going to throw away a $200 book because somebody got the virus instead of, paying half that price for an ebook that you can give to different kids? I just don't think the advantages of having a paper book are going to outweigh the disadvantages in terms of our health issues. But, that's neither here nor there. It's just another opinion. Now, the third app is actually GoodNotes, and I've got to play some more this summer when I have time, but digital planners are kind of moving in here. So you can go on Etsy and you can buy these digital planners, and they have multiple pages and you can write on them. Now, let me tell you the thing I like about it. I think that we all interact with our planners differently. If you follow my Do What Matters and you've read that book, you know that I think the advantages of writing out your planner are really big because it does sort of commit that you do it. If you put it on your calendar 2 months ago and you don't look at your calendar, you haven't really committed to that assignment or that appointment. However, if you handwrite it, you're kind of saying, I'm going to do it. And I think it just, for me, productivity-wise, handwriting makes a difference. But you can see these digital planners that you have on Etsy and that they're using in GoodNotes, and you can write on it and do all these sorts of things. And I truly think that moving to that sort of planner is going to happen. Now, what it can't do yet, what I can't find an app that does, and the ones that do it, that don't do it very well, is that, for example, I want to handwrite the stuff on my task list and then move it from day to day. That Nebo-like move between handwriting and text is just not there yet in these task management, calendar management apps. It still feels like you're picking between paper and digital, when what we really need is DigiPaper. We need a melding of the two, just like Nebo does. I think Nebo truly melds paper and digital into what it can be. It makes that hybrid, that word we're using all the time. It's a true hybrid that lets you fluently move between handwriting and text and uses all the app features. I am intrigued, though, by digital planners and what's going on in GoodNotes, and I'm going to keep looking for an app that really does like what Nebo does, except for planners and calendars. And, I also want it to pull my stuff from my Google Calendar. Why can't it just pull that in there to that planner, and then I move it around or edit it on there with my Apple Pencil? That's where I want it to go. So again, I don't think planners and calendars are truly hybrid, but GoodNotes is probably closer than it would be. Now, I'll tell you my fourth app. I am truly excited about this. So when I get overwhelmed, I always default to a Kanban method. And I've been blogging about Kanban for the last, 10 years. And that's what I think effective productivity does, that we kind of morph the method that we do based upon our current circumstances. So I got a bunch of super sticky notes, and I use different colors for different things. For example, if it's planning, it's pink. If it's orange, it's creating. If it's, something that's going to truly bless people, I put it in blue. If it's administrative or, something I kind of need to subdue, like a task I have to do, then that would be yellow. And if it's something, I call it, fruit bearing. It's something that is truly fruitful and is going to pay big dividends, mentoring or something like that, blessing people, then I put it in green and color code that. Well, I have kind of tinkered with the Post-it note app a little bit, but with the Apple Pencil, it just is so incredible. And I've recorded a screencast that I'm going to be sharing on what this thing does. But it also is a hybrid between the physical world and the paper world. So think of it this way. I have all these Post-it notes on this big board by my desk, and I'm starting to get more mobile. I'm looking at, hey, I got to go back to the school sometimes. How am I going to take this with me? Because I can't take all these Post-it notes down. I'm not going to do that. I'm getting ready to go mobile again. But what I can do is I can actually go in the Post-it note app, and I take a picture. I click capture, and I take a picture of these Post-it notes, and boom, it pulls it in. It even translates it to text, and it lets me organize it by groups and move it all back and forth. And so, for example, if I'm on the phone with somebody and I have different tasks, I have my Post-it notes right here. I can just make 5 or 6 Post-it notes of the different tasks I have to do. I can snap a picture and it is captured, and it is on my smartphone, it is on my Mac, and it is on my iPad. I can also write on these Post-it notes. And the other thing that you can do with the Post-it note app that you can't do with a physical Post-it note is actually change its color, which is fantastic. There's a little heart on the Post-it note, so you can click the heart or the star actually and put it on your today's Post-it note list day. Now, there's a few things that are a little bit cumbersome. I wish I could click on the Post-it note and change the category of the Post-it note as I move it from my different categories. So I basically have, ideas on deck, and then I'm going to talk about how I move the Post-it notes. I also have a category called videos to make because I have so much video production to do and I need to pull that out. So I move these Post-it notes between all these different categories. And so that Post-it note app is fantastic. I want to go ahead and skip now and talk about my item number 5, which is really more of a tip.
And this has really transformed things. And I believe I talked about this on an earlier podcast. So, I have my ideas, I have my on deck, I have my doing. I have a category called my admin meeting. If it's something I need to talk about, I put all the Post-it notes under that and just glance at it. But instead of just marking it done, what I've realized is that if I have a category, I call it Evaluate, Celebrate, Reflect, ECR. One thing I found out that I am really weak on is celebrating victories and saying, hey, this was great. I'm so glad I did this. I'm so glad this happened. And this is what I've learned from it, and reflecting and figuring out that problem. Well, one thing when you're doing, tech support for everybody and you're training and you're doing all these things is marking things done. You don't actually intentionally figure out how you can fix it for the future. So when I put stuff in that category, I look at that and I say, can I truly say it is finished? If I can't, then what do I need to do with it? Do I need to post this video on a website? Do I need to record a tutorial so other teachers don't have a problem? Do I need to communicate this to the staff? Do I need to have a meeting? What do I need to do before I mark it as finished? And what's my next step? I guess you could say that David Allen does this with his next steps, but I think his system is just too cumbersome for me. And the problem is there's no room for things to fall off my list. So as a mom of 3, it's always overwhelmed me to try to GTD. I would much rather prefer do it this way, do it like me or whatever. This is my own personal method, and you need to have your own personal method that works for you, because if you get things done, then that works for you, and that's what you need to do. But then my final category is it is finished. That means there is nothing else to do. It is completely finished. It is completely done. Boom. Like, I am so happy with those. And then what I do with those Post-it notes is I typically will stick them on the back of my homemade planner pages that I still have and still use. I do plan out my week still on paper and just kind of look at the big picture week and write it out with my Frixion pens, because that is just my habit. I have to do that every Sunday night or Monday morning at like 4 a.m., but I prefer doing it on the weekend, typically actually Saturday. So that's my number 5. Now, number 6, I'm going to have to spell her name, but Alexa, that app with my Echo Dot. I have linked it with my Outlook and my email. And I'm going to definitely get one and take it to school, because I have it reminding me about my next appointments in Outlook. I also have it so that it'll read me my email while I'm cooking dinner or whatever. And I can actually dictate back emails to people through it. So I have been so pleased with it. The only thing that's a little bit glitchy about that is when she who shall not be named reminds me of my appointments. It's not like a reminder where you say stop or whatever. I have found the best way to do it is to say its name and then say thank you, and then it'll say you're welcome or whatever. Okay. But if I say stop, that circle of getting that reminder from Outlook to turn off is a little bit challenging. I've also programmed my own skills in there. And yeah, I programmed it, who's the best mom in the world. Vicki Davis and both grandmamas are pretty close. So I've programmed the best dad in the world. I've programmed, if a child that says, who is so-and-so, who am I? It'll say, you're a beautiful, beloved child of God, and I'm so glad you're my child. I have little messages programmed in there. Who is the cat? Our cat has a broken mew. I have a little poem I've written about Shadow the cat. So you can program those Alexa devices, and there's a whole lot of features and things that we can do. So I'm getting ready to program some skills, I think, over the summer. That is one of my big 3. So one of my productivity habits I've had for a very long time as part of Innovate Like a Turtle is I always have my big 3. What are the next 3 things I'm going to learn, as well as being intentional about habits? Now, number 7 is I have used Notion and been using it, swapped from Evernote when I sort of saw it was in trouble. Now, I have noticed that Evernote does have Apple Pencil, and it seems to be sort of making a resurgence, but I did move to Notion because of the sort of database-like capability it has. I mean, Notion, there's just nothing like it. Now, the one thing it doesn't have is Apple Pencil support. I sure wish I could do everything that I do in Nebo inside Notion. And if I could do everything I do in Nebo and everything I do with the Post-it notes inside Notion, it would be the killer app and everybody would be use it. And I swear they would, now they may not be as big as Google, but they would be maybe as big as Microsoft. They would end up just huge. I do think that you're going to start seeing some new players as we truly hybridize paper and we truly hybridize our apps to be voice, handwriting, and typing all mixed together. And a lot of places just aren't there yet. So I do love that. Planning our end of the year celebrations. We've done end of the year celebrations at my school for K3 through 12th. Every single class has had an end of the year celebration and end of the year video. And behind the scenes, it's 15 different groups of people. So behind the scenes, I have to keep up with every single award show has a script. Every single award show has a video. Every single award show has a slide deck and special instructions based upon the preferences of the people who are in it. So rather than me just say, everybody, you're having to do it this way, I'm trying to, we have practice and I have a checklist that I have to do for each of it. So I've created sort of a Kanban-like board where you move it, like I said, from doing and done in Notion to track those award shows. I also use it to track things like my vacation time and other things, but Notion is truly fantastic. Now, the last thing that is a game changer for me is just how I journal. Now, I do like the full focus reflective journal. I have created my own journals very often where I have certain questions that I ask myself based upon my year and my objectives. Remember that asking good questions is probably as, if not more important than the answers. If you're answering the wrong questions, you're going to get the wrong results. And as J. Edwards Deming said, that when you track results, be careful what you track, but that's probably all you'll get. So when I sit down and I reflect on, what did I learn today? What were my biggest wins? What are the things I need to improve to move forward toward my goals? Michael Hyatt has a full focus planner, and that's what I've been using. I have used some other planners. There's quite a few out there, but I would just say be really intentional about the journal you choose. So how are you going to plan, and then how are you going to journal and reflect? And being intentional about reflection is something that really changes things. So these are 8 productivity tools and tips. I'd love for you to get on Twitter and tweet me at CoolCatTeacher. And please tell me, what are your tools and tips, and how are you working differently since you've been working from home? Or how are you working differently since everybody else is working from home and you're at work? It depends on who you are, I guess. I'll be sharing a lot of resources this summer on how we can get ready for the fall. I'm always looking for great speakers, great folks that will really be helpful to teachers. I'm also planning on doing another reader/listener survey. So stay tuned for that. But I hope that this has been not only a productive season, but that you'll also take some time to get offline, be with your family, and think about what's important. Because if this time has shown us anything, it's that for me, that maybe some of my priorities weren't quite straight. And honestly, I need to value people a little bit more. Nothing like valuing something till it's gone. We say, oh, I have to go to work. And now everybody's like, oh, I want to go to work. And, oh, I got to go to school. And now everybody wants to go to school. Maybe we need to learn to appreciate what we have a little bit more. And I hope that we all do. Do reach out. I'm right here. It's been busy. It's been crazy, but it's also been very important work. And I hope you feel that way too.
This fall season is going to be different, but we're not sure how. Whatever happens, online learning will play a huge role in teaching for all of us. And what better way to understand online learning than to take your summer professional development online through advancement courses? With advancement courses, you never stop learning. They offer over 280 graduate level PD courses in 20 different subjects, all self-paced with up to 6 months to complete. Go to advancementcourses.com/CoolCat and save 20% off each course by using the code COOL20. That's just $120 per graduate credit hour or $160 for 50 clock hours. You can also receive graduate credit through CAEP and regionally accredited university partners for continuing education requirements. Thanks, Advancement Courses, for sponsoring today's show.